Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Nick of Nick Studios, and let's get right into it. Okay, so in today's video, we are again going to be looking into the different classes of cards in Doorkeeper. Specifically, we're going to deep dive into units. As a quick refresher, there are four main classes of cards: territory, unique, unit, and resource. For unit cards, they are, as with other types of cards, going to be played on the field and are going to be specifically placed within legion zones. So when you want to draw units, you're going to draw them from your unit deck, which is down there at the bottom of the screen. You'll notice that your unit deck is separate from your resource deck. In an effort to prevent brick hands and improve strategic gameplay on the field, I decided that for Doorkeeper, I'm going to separate your resources from your units. Over here on the right side of your screen, you're going to see that legions are where you play a unit. And of course, for your first unit, you're going to play that in the first slot of the first legion, Legion 1. And afterwards, you are able to place a unit into Legion 2 or reinforce Legion 1. If you recall from the O is for orders video, when a legion is newly formed, it is placed in the door zone and moves on to the field. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the kind of field and zone placement for units. Let's take a look at the actual card. Okay, so units are primarily broken down into two main types, army and monster. However, since there are no key differences in terms of rules between army and monster cards, we are just going to look at a monster card today. So at the top, just like with the mythic cards, units have their power value listed in the upper left-hand corner, as well as their respective direction arrows, which point towards where they can attack and counter. Beneath the card's name, in this case we have the Bright Angel, we see the card's cost, 3 Lucent tokens. Down here, we have the class breakdown for the card. As you can see, it is a unit with the type monster, and at the end there, we have a new term that you're not probably familiar with yet, which is faction. Factions operate similarly to kind of tribal decks from Magic or archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! In that a card's name is both the name listed in the text box at the top, but it can also be its faction name. This is important for effects that specify a faction name instead of the entire name of a specific card. So as we can see here, the Bright Angel is of the Bright faction. So card effects that reference Bright units would include this card. And lastly, of course, on the topic of effects, as with all cards in Doorkeeper, units have effects at the bottom, which are broken down into different types. Please see the effects video for further explanation on those different types. As, of course, with all cards, units are played by paying a summon order and paying for its resource cost. And there is an additional rule for all cards, which is that you may have up to a maximum of 5 copies per card. Some cards will have specific effects that state that there is a limit of maybe 1 or even 2 cards per deck or per play, per game, etc. However, the standard is a limit of 5 cards. There is a trait, however, known as Swarm, which will be covered in its own video about traits, in which you may have as many copies of the card as you would like. However, a deck cannot be more than 100 cards. Okay, and that wraps up our discussion on units. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you too can enter the door to adventure.